When a woman begins to speak in emotionally loaded language, you must understand that you're no longer in a casual dynamic. Something deeper is unfolding. Or another wasted day. Her words may not be overt, but they're intentional. She might say things like, "Bye, you just feel easy to talk to." Or, "I don't usually open up like this with people." At first glance, they seem innocent, but emotionally attuned men know better. These another wasted, these are just compliments. They are coded disclosures, a subtle and feminine way of saying, "You're stirring something inside me I wasn't expecting, and I'm not sure I want it to stop." Women rarely express their desire directly, not because they're playing games, but because femininity is layered, intuitive, and often nonlinear. Instead of, "I want you," it's, "I feel safe around you." Instead of, "Take me now," it's, "No one's ever made me feel this calm before." If you're not paying attention, you'll miss what's being offered. But if you are paying attention, if you're listening beyond the surface, you'll begin to recognize that emotionally loaded language is a woman's way of granting you access, not just to her body, but to the emotional world she guards so carefully. The key here is emotionally loaded. She's not simply talking, she's feeling while she talks. Her voice slows down, her eyes soften, and her words carry weight. When she says, "I feel like I've known you for a long time," she's not delivering a poetic line. She's expressing emotional familiarity, which is one of the strongest gateways to sexual openness for women. In that moment, you're no longer just a man she's talking to. You're someone her nervous system has marked as safe, different, maybe even chosen. Now let's go deeper. Why does this matter psychologically? Because for a woman to sleep with a man, and I mean truly want to, not out of fear, pressure, or self-betrayal, her body must trust her emotions. She must feel like her emotional expression will be held, not mocked. She wasted day. She must believe that her softness won't be weaponized. That's why these emotionally rich statements are so critical. They're her subconscious testing the space. Can she be vulnerable? Can she be seen without being reduced to her sexuality? If you pass that test, she may not say it explicitly, but her body will begin to lean toward you, not just physically, but energetically. This is where the average man fails. He hears her say something like, "Hey, you make me feel safe," and he rushes in sexually. Wrong move. That response tells her you weren't actually listening. It tells her you're still prioritizing your own need over her emotional offering. But if you pause, if you breathe, look her in the eyes, and respond with something grounded like, "I don't take that lightly. Thank you for saying that." You've just deepened the connection. You've told her you understand the value of her trust. And nothing invites a woman into deeper desire like a man who values her trust more than her body. This is not manipulation. This is masculine maturity, because a truly confident man doesn't need to pounce on signals. He lets them unfold. He listens. He mirrors. He protects the space. He knows that if she's beginning to speak with emotion, it's not the dominate, it's the time to hold. And when a woman feels held, seen, and another wasted day, and emotionally safe, she begins to open in ways that no amount of charm or seduction could ever produce. Let's also acknowledge this. Emotionally expressive language is often a woman's first step toward self-permission. She's not just revealing herself to you. She's giving herself permission to desire. It's just another waste today because many women live in emotional repression. They've been taught to suppress their hunger, to silence their longings, to not be too much. So when she says something like, "I feel so relaxed when I'm around you," she's not just stating a fact. She's expressing relief. And that relief often gives way to longing. Longing to be touched, to be known, to be desired without performance. But that longing must be honored, not rushed. If you want to be the man who a woman deeply desires, not just physically, but spiritually, you must train yourself to recognize her emotional language as sacred. That's what it is. Sacred. When she speaks with emotional charge, she's not just offering information. She's inviting you to experience her inner world. That's not an opportunity you take lightly. That's an initiation into deeper masculine presence. You're not just there to respond. You're there to contain. And if you can do that, if you can honor her subtle disclosures, hold space for her emotion, and resist the urge to accelerate into physicality too quickly, then her desire will bloom on its own, not as a performance, not as compliance, but as a gift, a willing, feminine gift that says, "You made me feel safe enough to surrender, not because you asked, but because you earned it." So the next time a woman tells you she feels calm or safe or different around you, don't treat it as small talk. That is her first yes. That is her nervous system whispering what her lips may never say out loud. I want you to notice me, and I want to see if you can handle all that I am. Handle it well. And she won't just sleep with you. She'll remember you because you awakened something in her no man ever has. One of the most misunderstood behaviors in male female dynamics is when a woman starts to challenge you, sometimes playfully, sometimes sharply, and sometimes in ways that confuse men entirely. And yet, it's in this very moment, often masked as sarcasm, teasing, or sudden emotional shifts, that she's sending you a signal far more primal than most men recognize. She's not just being difficult, she's testing your masculine stability, and that test always comes before physical or emotional surrender. Now, here's what most men get wrong. They take her test as disrespect, they get reactive, defensive. Or worse, they try to overcompensate by performing masculinity, acting aloof, cold, or overly dominant. But that's not what she's looking for. What she's actually trying to see is whether your center is real, whether your confidence is genuine or conditional, whether you collapse when pressure is applied, or whether you remain present, calm, and grounded in who you are. Let's go deeper. A woman, especially one who is even slightly emotionally intelligent, will never give her body or her trust to a man she cannot psychologically lean on. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means you have to be steady. It means that when she pushes, you don't flinch. When she challenges, you don't attack. When she withdraws for a moment, you don't beg or chase, you hold space. And this isn't about playing it cool. This is about being anchored in your own emotional gravity so deeply that no storm she brings can unseat you from yourself. You want to know when she starts wanting to sleep with you. It's not when you flash your charm. It's not when you impress her with your words. It's when she realizes, I can test this man's edges and he still remains himself. He doesn't try to fix me. He doesn't punish me. He just stays grounded. That's what awakens a woman's deeper feminine desire, not because you dominate her, but because you provide the emotional structure her softness can relax into. See, women don't want to be controlled. They want to be contained. That distinction matters. Control is about fear. Containment is about safety. And emotional safety is the one thing every deeply feminine woman is searching for, even if she doesn't know how to articulate it. When she tests you, it's her nervous system asking, Eyes, it's safe to let go with you. Can I be wild and still be held? Can I bring my chaos without you becoming chaotic in return? So when she says something sharp, you probably say that to every girl. Or, oh, I bet you think you're irresistible. Don't defend, explain, or match her sarcasm with ego. Instead, relax into the moment. Smile, breathe, stay rooted. Respond with something authentic but grounded. Maybe I do. But I'm here with you now, and that's what matters. That's not a line. That's presence. That's containment. That's letting her know, you can test me, and I won't become less of a man in the process. Here's the psychology behind it. Tests are expressions of vulnerability, not hostility. They're masks for a woman's deeper fear. Fear of opening up to the wrong man, fear of being abandoned, fear of being misread, or worse, used. When she tests you, she's not trying to break you. She's trying to find out if you're already broken inside and just pretending to be whole. And when you pass those tests, not by manipulating your response, but by authentically staying grounded. You communicate something louder than any romantic gesture. You are a safe space. And for a woman, that kind of safety is magnetic. It makes her body want to be close to yours, not out of obligation or lust, but from a place of deep feminine instinct. This is where I can exhale. This is where I can soften. A woman can't feel sexually open with a man who is emotionally erratic. She might flirt, she might play, but to truly surrender, to give herself completely, she needs to know that if she falls apart, you won't. That's the core of the test. That's what she's really asking. Will you stay when I don't make it easy for you? If the answer is yes, not in words, but in your behavior, everything changes. Her walls begin to melt. Her body begins to open. Her soul begins to whisper, maybe, just maybe, I can let this one in. So what does this mean for you as a man? It means you must train yourself not just to stay calm in the face of feminine intensity, but to reframe it. What most men label as drama Chaos or moodiness is often just unprocessed emotion looking for a safe place to land. If you become that place, her desire will not only intensify, it will root itself in something much deeper than attraction. It will be trust. And trust is the gateway to everything you want with a woman. So the next time she tests you, don't take it personally. Take it as an invitation, an opportunity, a rite of passage into deeper connection. Because the man who can hold his ground when she's at her most uncertain is the man who will be remembered long after others have faded into the noise. One of the most underestimated yet revealing moments in a woman's attraction journey is when she starts to ask you hypothetical or suggestive questions. At first, they might seem innocent, curious, even random. But when you look beneath the surface, they are anything but. These questions are windows into her desire, wrapped in safety and plausible deniability. Women rarely express attraction in blunt terms, especially when they don't yet feel safe enough to be direct. Instead, they speak in symbols. They pose questions that sound playful or imaginative, but underneath, they're asking, if I move closer, will you meet me there without judgment? Can I show you my curiosity without shame? It's not always a test. Sometimes it's an invitation. Let's look at a few examples. When she says, would you ever date someone like me? She's not just seeking validation. She's asking, do you see me as desirable? When she asks, have you ever had a night where things just happened? She's not collecting stories. She's testing the waters of possibility. Or when she leans in and says with a teasing smile, are you always this smooth with women? She's not criticizing you. She's flirting in a way that allows her to retreat if it feels unsafe. These questions are a form of emotional reconnaissance. She's gauging your awareness. She's observing whether you're attuned enough to read between the lines, or if you're the kind of man who only responds to things that are spelled out plainly. And here's the truth. Women do not trust men who need everything spelled out, because life, especially emotional life, is rarely black and white. She wants to know that you can swim in the gray. When a woman poses one of these questions, it's because you've stirred something in her. She's not ready to declare it, but she's also no longer able to ignore it. Desire has started to surface, and her hypothetical becomes a safe playground for that desire to express itself without risking rejection or embarrassment. It's like saying, if I were to show you a piece of my attraction, would you shame me or would you honor it? And now, many men miss this cue entirely. They brush the question off with a joke, or they answer too logically, turning it into a debate. But when she asks something emotionally charged, your job is not to be clever. It's to be present and precise. Not calculated, not robotic, present. Respond with warmth. Give her something real, something that meets her emotional tone and keeps the door open. Because this is the thing, when she asks you a hypothetical like, do you think it's okay for people to hook up without strings? What she's really doing is trying to make space for her own desire without losing her dignity. And if you're too cold or dismissive, she'll pull back. If you're too eager or aggressive, she'll lose trust. But if you remain centered, if you hold her curiosity with curiosity of your own, that's where intimacy begins. This is a skill few men have mastered, not because it's hard to learn, but because most men are not taught to listen emotionally. We're taught to respond to facts, not feelings. But women live in the world of nuance. Their attraction doesn't flare up from logic. It rises from energy. And when she's giving you a loaded question, that's not a quiz. It's an offering. It's her way of saying, there's something stirring in me. I don't quite know what to do with it. But if you handle this moment right, I might be willing to find out with you. Let's not forget the psychological function of these questions. They are her attempt to co-create a story with you. Desire, especially for a woman, is rarely just physical. It's narrative, it's meaning, it's emotional logic. When she asks if you've ever had a deep, instant connection with someone, she's not only interested in your past, she's trying to name what she's feeling in the present. She's hoping that you'll reflect it back to her without making it awkward, rushed, or transactional. And that's your opportunity to lean into her curiosity with confidence, not control, to meet her between the lines, not interrogate the lines. This is where deep masculine energy is so vital, not the kind that demands, but the kind that listens, that responds with poise and precision. Because when a woman feels understood in her subtlety, she unlocks in ways that no amount of game or performance can replicate. So the next time a woman drops one of those questions, the kind that makes you wonder, what is she really asking me right now? Don't get nervous. Don't deflect. Breathe. Pause. And remember, she's not trying to trap you. She's giving you a chance to meet her in the realm of intuition, She's inviting you into a space where attraction doesn't have to be stated. It can be sensed. And when you can operate at that level, you stop being just another guy. You become the guy, the one she remembers, the one she trusts with the unspoken. Because in the end, it's not the man who talks the loudest who gets the woman. It's the one who listens so well. She feels free enough to whisper what she never dared say before. One of the most revealing yet subtle signals a woman gives when she's truly attracted to you but trying hard not to show it is how she responds when you pull away slightly, not dramatically, not manipulatively, just enough to shift the dynamic. Because attraction doesn't just reveal itself in closeness. Sometimes it reveals itself in her reaction to your absence. Think about this. When a woman isn't emotionally invested, your silence means nothing. Your delay in texting back barely registers. Your momentary withdrawal doesn't stir any inner shift. But when she's attracted, and especially when she's trying to hide it, your absence becomes a mirror. It reveals how much space you've taken up in her thoughts. Another wasted day. Even when she won't admit it out loud. Let's make one thing clear. This isn't about playing games. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing how emotional tension works in the feminine psyche. When a woman is unsure about her feelings or afraid of her own desire, she won't always lean in with words, but she will react to the vacuum you create when you step back just slightly. And that reaction is gold, if you know how to read it. Some women respond with curiosity. She's more inquisitive. Hey, haven't heard from you. Everything okay? Others become sarcastic or passive aggressive. Wow, you're alive. Still others go quiet but start to watch you more. Often from a distance, they become more reactive to your energy in group settings, more sensitive to your tone. All of these are expressions of one thing: attention redistribution. When you were present, she was managing her attraction internally. But now that you've stepped back, it's exposed something she was trying to regulate: her growing emotional investment. This is a psychological truth. People feel most exposed when what they've come to rely on shifts. And emotional safety, whether or not she consciously acknowledges it, becomes something she gravitates toward without understanding why. If you've created any kind of emotional container where she felt seen, heard, or valued, and then you pause that presence, her nervous system will take note. And if she's drawn to you, it will show. This is also where her mask often begins to slip. A woman who's trying not to show her feelings will often put on a front. Cool, unbothered, detached. But when that subtle distance appears, she starts to send mixed signals. She might try to pretend she doesn't care, but her energy says otherwise. She lingers longer in your conversations. She comments on your silence, even if jokingly. Or she suddenly brings up things you said weeks ago, things she clearly remembered because they mattered. But what does this mean for you as a man? It means you must stop looking for the obvious. Attraction isn't always direct. Sometimes it's found in the contrast, in what happens when your presence is no longer guaranteed. And this contrast becomes a litmus test. A woman who is indifferent won't flinch. But a woman who's attracted, especially one trying to hide it, will suddenly become far more aware of you than before. What's even more telling is how she re-engages. When she starts reaching out more, initiating conversations, asking subtle personal questions, those are not random. That's her way of re-establishing the emotional connection she secretly began to depend on. She may not say, "I missed you," but she'll say things that point to it. I was wondering what happened to you, or you disappeared for a bit. That's emotional language, coded vulnerability. And again, your response matters. If you take her rear engagement as an ego boost and get cocky, she'll shut down. If you get needy and rush back in, she'll retreat. But if you remain calm, warm, and lightly responsive, you show her that you weren't withdrawing to manipulate. You were simply self-possessed. And that is deeply attractive. You're not at the mercy of her energy, and yet you value her presence enough to notice her cues without needing to dominate them. This is where emotional depth becomes your secret weapon. Because the mature man understands that feminine desire needs space to unfold. It's like heat. It rises in stillness, not pressure. When you learn to hold that stillness, to not panic when she pulls away or overplay it when she returns, you become the rare man who knows how to let her come to him without chasing. And that's exactly what most women crave, but won't verbalize: a man who doesn't need to manipulate her attraction because he understands it. A man who recognizes her interest even when she's trying to mask it. A man who knows that when he steps back and she leans in, even slightly, it's not random. It's not meaningless. It's a reflection of a deeper truth she hasn't yet admitted. So let me leave you with this. The true sign of her desire isn't always found in what she says when she's close. It's found in what she does when you're just far enough away. Pay attention to that space. It often speaks louder than words.